Damage control.
Like what you've seen on YouTube so far? Be sure to gain access to bonus material and exclusive video. Sign up for our free newsletter. It's as simple as clicking on the link below. Kaiser, we've had such a great response to the Taekwondo for MMA clip that we filmed a little while back. And I wanted to show these guys. I know it was like a lifetime ago, but you know, for all the naysayers out there that say, Taekwondo will never work on MMA, I remember in your fight against Oliver Bradstreet, in the third round, you hit him with like a turn back kick, or I'm not sure how you guys, what you call it, but it was a Taekwondo kick, obviously, and it turned him green. I think it had a big, it definitely took the wind out of sails and had a big effect on the overall outcome of that fight. Can you share that with these guys?
Yeah, I would love to, and we do. We call it a turn back kick, at least when I came up in Taekwondo, same thing. And the challenge with all the turning techniques is find an opportunity to throw them without telegraphing or being obvious. Most MMA and Thai boxing is done with your hips facing your opponent for a number of reasons. The ability to shield and deal with leg techniques on either side, or the ability to sprawl and defend takedowns. So that straightforward stance can make it difficult to set up a turning technique because I have to start adjusting my stance to get ready to throw a spinning technique.
Now what I love about how you pulled it off was that turn was disguised with, well, I don't even think you disguised it, but in a way you could say it was disguised with an actual technique, and it just so happened to blend right into a missed technique which set up the turn back kick.
Yeah, and that's one of the perfect times in both kickboxing and in MMA to use that technique, is missing a Thai kick, because as you miss it, you're putting so much power into that kick, you end up turning around oftentimes anyway. So rather than just continuing the turn and facing you, I just put the turn back kick out there, particularly against guys who are very eager to pounce on you, I guess you could say.
I think a lot of people are. I mean, and let's just show them what's going on here, because this is so typical. Let's not show the kick, but how it's missed and how the setup works.
Sure.
So a lot of times, you know, again, like you said, you could be throwing a body round kick or a leg round kick or what have you. What will happen is, we talked about this, I think, last week with the basic step and slide back footwork. What happens is he throws the kick, I step and slide back, and then I immediately come forward for a counterattack. I mean, that is a very common energy that you're going to see in almost all fighting, whether it be kickboxing, Thai boxing, MMA, what have you. And
it's a great reaction too on your part. I mean, anytime you get an opponent that turns his back, it just triggers something that makes you want to go after him.
Make them miss and make them pay.
Right. So we're going to take advantage of that with this particular technique. What happens is I go to step and I throw my kick and he moves back. I've put a lot into that kick, so I'm cutting all the way through, either intentionally or I'm just unable to retract the kick. And oftentimes what we would do is put the kick down and then turn and shield or face our opponent after. In this case, as he moves back, it's as fast as I can recognize that I've missed the kick, I'm going to stomp my foot into the ground with my heel facing my partner. And that's an important detail, because if I don't recognize this and I follow this all the way around here, this is where you're going to see this happen often. As he starts to come in, my turn back kick's going to go off to the side. Maybe my toes will graze his hip, or I'll miss all out together. And that's very common when people try to use this technique. So the trick for making it work is, as I step and he moves back, at the moment I know that I've missed, I can stomp that foot down, heel towards him. My heel is like it's like the sights on my gun. It's what's lining up the kick and going to direct it into the proper place, which would be his center mass there. So once I put that heel down, I'm going to just use what we call a turning back kick as opposed to a spin side kick or a turning side kick, which means I tuck the leg right underneath and throw it straight in. The difference being that I'm going underneath my body in a straight line versus off to the side with a side kick, which has more of a tendency to miss. So one more time here, he steps back, stomp it down, turn, and put in the side kick.
Can I interject something right here? Now, This works best on the energy where the guy moves back and then moves right back in because they run into that technique.
We'll just run through this one more time in a little bit more regular speed and wrap this up here. So he steps back and walks right back into the turn back kick. So there you go, continuing our Taekwondo for MMA series. It's a turn back kick off of a missed tie round kick. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Well, I like Brandon. I like Kaiser. He's a good kid. They represent themselves well. But I tell you what, I've really grown to love Ollie Bradstreet, and right now I'm not rooting for either one of them.
Nice political response there. Still asking the doctor what happened. You see in your Crush Combat Cam, brought to you by Quality Inn on Redwood Road in North Temple, where Brandon Kaiser landed a nice little turn kick, snuck it up to the floating ribs there, and then once again he beautifully set up a nice triangle choke. And once it was on, Johnny, this one was on.
This one was on, and it was over. Ollie Bradstreet gets a tap. I tell you what, Mike, Ollie Bradstreet did put up one heck of a fight. We don't usually, guys, don't go the rounds with Brandon Kaiser. He finishes him off in the first. I give my hats off to Ollie Bradstreet for making it into the third round.
Let me tell you something right now. We've not seen the last of this Oliver Bradstreet kid. He's a tough kid, but